Hey guys, Thetcglover here. Today's video is going to be talking about Haze Beasts, an archetype which is coming out in Cosmo Blazer, which is in a couple of weeks. Two things before I do. The first thing is a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to me. I've got to 350 subs in the last couple of days, and I actually had about 200 and something a couple of weeks ago, and I just made a couple of good videos and it boosted me up, and I asked a few good YouTubers to help me. And I can't thank them enough because they've really helped get some traffic onto my channel, and I don't want to let you guys down because I do love making videos. I want to get a better camera so I can actually enhance the quality, better lighting, but because I move around I can't usually do that. Second thing is a comment that was on my last video about, because I quickly wanted to make a video talking about two TCG exclusives that were announced in Cosmo Blazer. I didn't really look at them much, but I quickly talked about them, and a few people were annoyed with how I analysed Burning Colossus. They said that I didn't really think through the card much. The reason was mainly because on paper, the card itself, which allows you to destroy 2 fire monsters that you control, that isn't very good. Okay, destroying your own cards. Of course, I do know that Fire Kings are going to be a deck in a few months when they come out in the new structure deck. But we don't have them yet, and so far this card is coming out before they are, so at this point the card isn't very good. But it is going to be playable once the Fire Kings come out, because they get their effects when they're destroyed, so you can set off your own card and then you can blow up stuff. For now, special summoning a 2600 monster which pops 2 fire monsters on your side of the field is not very good. But it will get good, and I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that at this point it's not very good. Okay, so Haze Beasts, the archetype in Cosmo Blazer, which Konami has completely disregarded. They've been trying to push Fire Fists. They've completely left this deck alone. Whether or not they're going to bump the cards up, we don't know. I mean, there's a few cards that I could reckon they're going to be supers, but the archetype itself is a lot more interesting to me than Fire Fists are. I don't mind Fire Fists. I like their search cards. I like stuff like that. But in general, I prefer this archetype. It's got a little bit more going for it. There's more control orientated, a lot less field committing, stuff like that. The archetype is good. I do like some of the cards more than others. Some of them are not very good, and I will probably explain to them as I'm talking about them. Okay, so we've got about 4 or 5 different monsters that make up the archetype so far. Whether or not we'll get more support in Road to Tachyon Galaxy, we don't know yet because most of the set hasn't been released yet. The first monster is Haze Beasts Cerberus, which I'll have somewhere on the screen. It's a level 6 with 2000 attack and 200 defense. You can normal summon this card without attributing, and its attack comes 100. But if you special summon it from Rekindling or something, then it's 2000. This face-up card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, which applies to all Haze Beasts. All Haze Beasts have that exact same effect where they can't be targeted by card effects. So stuff like Deep Prison, stuff like Book of Moon, enemy controller, effects that target, Gale the Whirlwind, stuff like that. Zen mains, I can keep thinking of these things. The good thing is that when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you add 1 haze card from your deck to your hand. Notice how it doesn't say you can add, it just says add. So regardless of if it's destroyed and you think, oh, it's going to miss the timing if you destroy it and then you special summoning, I don't know, it doesn't miss the timing. It will get destroyed. No matter how it gets destroyed, you can add a haze card from your deck to your hand. So when it dies, you get to replenish the card in your hand that you lost on the field. So that's a really good card, and I would definitely suggest running 3 of them no matter what. No matter what! And I'll explain a bit later on once I go through the cards. And the next one is Haze Beasts Gryphs. I can't pronounce it, but it's Gryps, and I'll have it on the screen. Fire Wing Beasts, level 6, like all of them are, 200 attack and 2100 defense, so it makes up a decent wall. If your opponent controls a monster and there are no non-fire monsters on your side of the field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it's a bit like Cyber Dragon-y, but a bit more situational. This card cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects. Okay, so what this means is that if you want to play this card, you have to play, you can't use Tex, you can't use Gauze, you can't use Tragodias, you can't use Veilers, Maxis, you can't do all that stuff. You have to play strictly fire, and that is one thing that I really feel hits the card hard. The card isn't a rekindling target. The card it doesn't do much except for be a 2100 wall. I don't see why you'd want to play this card. I mean, obviously it is a Haze Beast, so you can special summon it with other Haze Beast effects. I wouldn't play it. personally. I think that it will get too cloggy. There's no way to get it out of your hand if you want to run other things. I much think that Haze Beasts are a lot more versatile when they're mixed up with other cards. You know, other meta cards like, you know, Veilers and Maxis and stuff, where you can actually keep your hand up and play around with other archetypes and stuff like that. Okay, next card is Haze Beast Hippogriff, or Hippogriffo, whatever. 2100 attack with 200 defense. So it is a rekindling target. Once per turn, you contribute one fire monster you control, and this card gains 300 attack. So it will go up to 400 if you tribute another fire type. However, the way that the deck works, you can use rekindling to tribute another fire, and then so on. It won't get the effect of Haze Beast Cerberus. 2400 isn't bad. It is another rekindling target, so that combined with Cerberus is the best way to go about the deck. The next one is Haze Beast Periton. At level 6 with 1600 attack and 1700 defense. It can't be special summoned except by the effect of a Haze Beast monster. This face-up card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. You can send one fire monster from your hand to the graveyard and tribute this card, so you 2 for 2. To special summon 2 Haze Beast monsters from your deck. This effect can only be activated once per turn, so you can't activate multiple Peritons. You can't do Periton tribute to summon 2 more Peritons and discard and do the tribute thing, so you have like 5 monsters on the field. You can't do that. They only get to use once a turn. It's okay. You basically want to summon it from your hand without having to tribute summon it. So you want to use Haze Pillar. There's not much else to say about that, because if you do send a fire card, it you can't get Veiled, so it's not like you're going to lose loads of advantage. Next up is Haze Beast Sphinx. At 1900 attack and 1900 defense. This card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can declare one card type, monster, spell, or trap. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if it's a declared type, you can special summon one fire monster from your hand or graveyard, and it can only be activated once per turn. So that's useful, I guess. That's not bad. I mean, if you do get the effect off, you get to special summon, and then it makes for an easy Xyz. 1900 attack is very weak for level 6. You have to tribute summon it unless you use Haze Pillar or you use the trap card. It kind of means that you're in hand, it can be very dead. And that's one thing that I don't like about things like Hieratics. I'm wondering, oh, they're going to be dead sometimes. You have to, but this card, when you do have it on the field, it can put in a lot of work for you, because you can just keep reusing the effect, and you just keep declaring monster, because sending your monster to the grave is fine. And if you if you declare monster and you send the Haze Beast from the top of your deck to the grave, you get to special summon that monster. So you don't lose any advantage, and you get 2 monsters for the price of 1 from your grave. So that's pretty good. Next up, I want to talk about the actual Xyz monster, which is the core of the deck. Your Haze Beast deck is centered around making this card because it's so powerful. Building your deck correctly and being able to utilize being consistent with making this card means that you're going to have a huge advantage, because the card itself is incredibly good. I don't think there's any Xyz monster that can compare to the kind of power that this one has. So his name is Haze Beast Basilicock, right? I'm not even joking. He's actually got the word cock in the name of it. I'm actually reading this on a forum. The forum does not allow the name cock, so every time that you write that name, it will block it out. So it's really difficult to talk about it, because it just blocks it out. So it's stupid. It's a fire pyro Xyz. Rank 6, of course, and at 2500 attack and 1800 defense, it's a bit like, oh, it needs 2 level 6s, so it's okay. 2500 isn't bad. However, it needs two or more level 6 fire monsters, a maximum of 5 of them. Once per turn, you can attach 1 Xyz material from this card to target 1 monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard, and you banish it. Doesn't destroy, it doesn't care. You detach. You've got a 25 monster that you can detach from it, and you can target one of their monsters and banish it. So Stardust Dragon, anything that just is a pain in the ass, like Gachi, anything that's bigger than it, anything like not Christia, but like Hyperion, Grapha, just banish that shit. Just get rid of it. No one cares, okay? Just get rid of things that rely to be in the grave. You can just banish it. You can banish Hornet, you can banish Infernity stuff, you can banish Melantian stuff. Get rid of their Megalo, I don't know, and then you're going to smack them for 2500 damage. And that's not even, it gets better, okay? If you have 3 or more materials on it, it gains 200 attack and defense for each Xyz material attached to it. So at 2500 you have 3 materials on it, so that means it goes up to 3100. Okay, that's pretty good. So 3100 monster that you can banish stuff with. 4 or more, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent, targeted by your opponent's card effects. So as I said before, Zen mains can't target it, loads of stuff can't target it. So at 4 it's pretty good. And at 5, if you have 5 materials on it, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So if you have 5 materials, it will be at 3500 attack, it can't be targeted by effects, and it can't be destroyed by effects. So at 5 materials, it's basically good game, unless they find a way to get over your monster. Of course, there's stuff like Honest, there's stuff like Collude, there's a few other cards that don't target, like Creature Swap, but apart from that, this card is basically invincible. As long as you can get it up to 5 materials, that's good. But if you don't want to play that game where you're going to be committing your entire field to making a card that could be warninged or something like that, the fact that you can detach a material to banish one of their cards, even if you only have 2 materials on it, makes it good. Makes it playable, makes it competitive. So it's a really, really good card. Okay, so the question that you're probably asking is, how am I going to get 5 materials on it? Okay, so we know that from the monsters that I've already shown you. So the card has got ways of making it, because you can special summon 2 Haze Beasts. However, there's a few spell cards which I've already mentioned before. There's a few spell cards that do help the deck, but there's one card in particular which is actually part of the Haze archetype itself. We have Haze Pillar, which is on the screen. There's a continuous spell card where you can normal summon a Haze Beast with 1 less tribute. So you can normal summon Haze Beast from your hand. So it does allow you to be much quicker with your effects. However, it is very it does make it quite vulnerable in terms of you can get MST'd and stuff like that, and then you've got tons of dead cards. However, being able to normal summon a Haze Beast from your hand actually makes it really good. Once per turn, you can target 1 Xyz material monster you control, and you can attach 1 Haze Beast in your hand or on your field to that target as an Xyz material. So if you have Basilcock on your field and it's got 2 materials, you can use Haze Pillar to keep putting stuff onto it every single turn. If you have multiple Haze Pillars, then you can put loads of stuff on it, so you can get it up to 5 materials really quickly, and it doesn't require you to have to set off their torrentials, set off anything. You can just activate its effect, put more stuff onto it, and that's really good. They do have a trap card which basically does the exact same thing. Lets you summon a monster with 1 less tribute, but you don't get to attach. But you can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard to add 1 Haze card from your graveyard to your hand. So you can add Haze Pillar to your hand, you can add another Haze Beast to your hand. So it's got versatility, but of course if they MST then you chain this card, you don't get the effect off because you have to send it yourself. Okay, so the last part of this video is talking about the things that are going to make it viable in this format. We know about the Haze Beasts because the Haze Beasts so far are not a very big archetype, because they've got an Xyz monster, they've got about 5 monsters that they can use it with, and they've got 1 spell card support and 1 trap card. It's actually not a very big archetype. However, those kind of archetypes are actually very, very good because it means that you can use other support cards to really push it. So as we know, the most viable way of playing Haze Beast are by using the monsters that have 200 defense, and that is, I think it's the one that gains 300 attack points, and Cerberus. No matter what. So you use those 2 in copies of 3 each, and it means that you can keep special summoning them. If you use something like Rekindling, you can just special summon 5 at once and go straight into a free 500 Basilcock, so that's really great. However, that requires setup, and that's not always what you want, so sometimes you want to summon 2 Basilcocks instead of 1, giant one. So generally having 2 that can keep banishing your opponent's stuff is actually a lot more powerful than summoning 1 of them that has 5 materials. Okay, first and most important support card, which I would definitely suggest that you play in freeze, is Flamvell Fire Dog. It came out in the Astral pack, so it's a 1900 attacker and it's a fire beast. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 fire monster with 200 or less defense from your deck, except Flamvell Fire Dog, so you can't special summon more copies. However, what does mean you get to summon Cerberus, and Cerberus, when it's special summoned, it is at 2000 attack, because that's its base attack, because when you normal summon it, it's actually at just 1000. However, if you summon it by Flamvell Fire Dog, you can destroy their monster, then you can attack the Cerberus for an extra 2000, and then when it dies, gets destroyed by any way. Maybe they think, oh god, you've got too much field committed, so they just dark hole you. You get to add stuff to your hand with Cerberus. Cerberus is perfect with this card, and they're both beasts, and that's going to be good in a minute when I talk about it. Of course, if you are playing Flamvell Fire Dog, you can play Flamvell Magician, to do that, but generally the only reason why you'd want to have Flammable Magician is by discarding it for Periton so that you can summon two Haze Beasts. It's okay, but it's not that great. Now, a really good support card, which is not part of the Haze Beast archetype, but it is a really good card, and it seems to have a lot of versatility in the deck itself, is Laval Lancelord, which came out in Photon Shockwave, I think. It's a Fire Warrior, level 6, which is really good, and a 2100 attack and 200 defense. So it's basically fitting completely with the Haze Beasts and the Kindling shenanigans that the deck can do. You can normal summon this card without tributing. If you do, during the end phase, send it to the graveyard. So it doesn't really do much unless you actually special summon it. When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished fire monsters and add that target to your hand. So that's great. If for Kindling you make 2 monsters, and you don't want to use up the last one that you have on your field, if you summon 5, then you can banish it and then you can use Lancelot to get it back later. But generally, Laval Lancelot is a nice way that you can normal summon without having to, it's a nice 2100 normal summon, which is very, very useful. It can be special summoned by Flammable Fire Dog as well, so you can just summon it and then do another 2100 damage, and then when that gets destroyed you can add targets. So if they banish your cards, running one of these Lancelords is actually really helpful. I mean, if you summon it, activate Torrential, then you will get its effect off, and then you'll be able to add a card to your hand from your banish zone. So it has got a lot of versatility when it comes down to those situations when you need it, because you don't really going to be banishing your stuff. But if you play against a macro deck, for example, being able to get Lancelot becomes quite useful against Rabbit and stuff like that. So it has got a lot of use. If you want to play Periton, the one that lets you discard a fire type and tribute it, summon 2 Haze Beasts from your deck. Volcanic Shell allows you to discard it, and then you can pay 500 life points to get another one back into your hand, so you don't lose any advantage doing so. Goka the Pyre of Malice. You can special summon this card from your hand if you control a fire monster. When this card is special summoned this way, destroy one fire monster you control. So you can destroy Cerberus, and then Cerberus will get its effect off, so you can do Cerberus, special summon Goka, which has got 2200 attack, and then you can add a Haze card to your hand. So that's kind of, it's got plays, but it's, during the standby phase, you can special summon 1 Fireball token in defense position. You contribute one other fire monster to have this card gain 500 attack. So in a pinch, it can become 2700, which is very powerful and gets over a lot of cards. Being able to special summon a Fireball token means that you can tribute summon for a Haze Beast without, you can tribute summon a Cerberus without having to bring its attack down to 1000. If you want to go the Evil route, because Evols do have a way to make a Fire Xyz monster. They can make Evotar Solder. You can use Evotar Westlow and Evosaur Elias. Special summon Elias from your hand, and you can use stuff like Evo Force as well if you want to, and make Basilcock that way. Or you can make a Solder, you can have a kind of mixture of both archetypes if you wanted to. I personally would recommend it because Elias requires you to special summon another from your hand. I don't want to commit too much on my hand because Haze Beasts don't need to do that. That is an option. Westlow does mean you can special summon an Elias for free, and then you can normal summon a Haze Beast, and then you can go into Basilcock that way. So there is sort of plays that you can make with it, so it's not too bad. I got one card here which actually really does push the deck off really, really well. It comes out in the structure deck, Assault of the Flaming King, a normal spell card where if your opponent controls a monster and you control absolutely no monsters at all, you can special summon 1 Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast type from your deck, but its effects are negated and it's destroyed during the end phase. So basically it allows you to get a Haze Beast from your deck and place it on the field for free. It means that you can summon Cerberus for 2000 attack, pop them for 2000 attack, damage, whatever, and then during the end phase it dies. Or you can summon 2 Haze Beasts, and then you can make Basilcock that way, and then that Xyz material doesn't blow up and doesn't die. So you can sort of get past the effect itself. It does mean that you can just basically just get any monster you want and just put it on the field. I mean, I think once the card does come out, there is no reason why you wouldn't play this card. Playing 2 of them is probably best because you want to rip through your deck as fast as possible. It's basically like a search card for the deck, but instead of putting it in your hand, you put it on the field instead. And obviously, since you are summoning Cerberus, which does allow you to add cards to your hand, it is basically like a rotor, but it's better. No matter what. And I believe that's it. That's the entire archetype. That's all the support cards, the best support cards, because there was a few others, but I personally don't like them. The deck doesn't really need those kind of cards. However, the ones that I've suggested are definitely good cards. They're good enough to a point where the deck is really, really viable. You know, not just Basilcock, you can actually go into Photon Strike Bouncer, you can go into the Eviltar Solder, you can go into Focus Force if you want to, you can go into a bunch of rank 6s, and obviously after you've used the effects up, if you feel like the Basilcock is really crap with no materials on it, you can just overlay it for Gaia Thunder Charger. So it has that versatility as well. So, you know, it doesn't use that much of the extra deck. It's just got a lot of really cool plays, and it's really not that inconsistent either. It's actually really, really good deck to play. It is quite easy to side against in some sense. Provided that you counter side, it shouldn't be too difficult to beat most people. I think the best play for me is when you do Flamvore Fire Dog and then you go over their monster with something like Forbidden Lance, or using something like Horn of the Phantom Beast, where you can push your monster attack points up even higher. Then you can special summon Cerberus and just attack. It's just that good. It's just a really, really, really good little sort of play that you can do, and it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on your opponent, because if he's any good and he's counting the cards in your hand and he has to destroy your monster, he's gonna lose stuff. Okay, I mean, like, Thunder King can't get over Cerberus. Okay, so Thunder King is going to be completely useless in this situation. Stuff like Rekindling, as I said, it allows you to just completely swarm your field and then make a huge Basilcock, provided that the situation allows it. Or you can summon 2, and then you can just banish 2 cards on your opponent's side of the field. It's really, really good. As I'm talking about this, I can feel the excitement. I really am looking forward to this archetype a hell of a lot more than the Fire Fist, and I'm even looking forward to it a little bit more than Fire Kings as well. I really think it has potential, and Road to the Tachyon Galaxy means that it's going to get better. Hopefully they keep the support coming, otherwise the support that we have right now means it is pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. It was a quite long discussion, but I really felt like the deck needed to be analysed and discussed properly rather than just making a 6-minute video. I did want to address the points that I made at the beginning of the video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Until next time guys, the Thetcglover is out.